things in Dallas at SMU. Best 3 out of 5 sets, SMU in their white uniforms, and of course Virginia in their traditional orange, and right away good first contact and a quick kill out of the middle.
Paul, I'm noticing right away for Virginia that Kate Johnson is wearing that libero jersey again. That was a change that was made on Friday night, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Johnson playing in place of Milan Gamillion. That's a tough situation to have to replace your libero because they play 6 rotations. A lot of people talk about, 3 rotation outsides and the middles go in and out. Well, when it comes down to it, liberos are out on the floor all the time. There is Celia Cullen out of Brighton, Michigan. Transfer from Michigan State, has been exceptional at the setting position all season long for SMU at 16-6. Ellie Bolton, 5'7" graduate out of Shawnee, Kansas, transfer from Creighton. We're going to say transfer a lot when it comes to SMU. That has been their modus operandi in terms of building this program.
There's a nice swing out of the right side by Lauren Bowie. She is a sophomore on this team, but a huge part of the offense already, and getting to play in her natural position, which has made a world of difference. Because they didn't have a second arm on the left side last year, they had to use her out there. It wasn't her natural position, but you just see the damage that she's caused swinging from the right side this year.
Good offense once again from the outside. Virginia, 7-4 in conference, lost to Pittsburgh on Friday night, the #1 ranked team in the country, 3-0. Again, very short-handed was Coach Wells. And on the other side, SMU was at Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech, also won 3-0. Hit 319 in that contest. Here is Nia Chimay for the first time. As mentioned, the transfer from Wyoming. And Missy, you pointed out, putting up big numbers. 3.5 kills per set. Very, very efficient as well at 282 offensively. Had 20 kills against Pittsburgh in that comeback win. That was a very interesting series. Mentioned Pitt, the #1 team in the country with a service ace. You go from Dallas over to Pittsburgh to take on the #1 Panthers and get absolutely overwhelmed on the road, and then come back to Dallas. The Moody magic strikes, and SMU was able to return the favor, 3-2. Chimay again working on the short serve, and that ball coming up just a little bit short.
Chimay, one of 3 pin players for SMU. We've talked about the 3 rotations versus 6 rotations. Well, for SMU, all 3 pins stay on the floor for all 6 rotations, which is quite unique right now in college volleyball, where with the number of subs, we're used to seeing a lot of decent defensive specialists on and off the court. And for SMU, obviously that's worked quite well this season. They've been able to create some rhythm and chemistry in that system.
Casey Battenhorst coming on to serve, 6'1" junior out of Houston, Texas. Sister Allie having a pretty good career, 4 years at Nebraska, and now starring for the USC Trojans, currently ranked at #21. Had a big night against UCLA on Thursday, did Allie Battenhorst. Transition opportunity, dig, wild run by Virginia. Both teams well-schooled and well-positioned defensively, scrambling hard in this early rally. Boy, multiple swings off the left side. Very, very nice transition and outside hitting.
But it took a few swings for SMU, and as Coach Sam Erger told us, she said what we expect from Virginia is for them to hang their hat on the fact that they will not go away defensively. That's going to keep them in a lot of matches, and they're going to have to keep that going today in order to compete with this offense from SMU that just comes at you across the entire net.
That was Maya Tabron, 6'1" graduate out of Gilroy, California, a transfer from Colorado. we were talking to head coach Sam Erger, one of her marketing points to players as they transfer into SMU and while she builds this brand is that we're going to train you and teach you to be a professional, which means, to your point, Missy, that you're going to play 6 rotations. None of this part-time business. You come here to SMU, you're going to be on the court the whole time, and we're going to get you ready for your next step as a professional, and clearly it's worked.
Yeah, and guess what, Paul? Players like to hear that. Players want to be on the court. So talk about a good selling point, huh?
And they want to be told they've got a pro career ahead of them.
Yes, absolutely. There's a pro swing from Elena Dupre that time, who is a transfer to, we talked about transfers at SMU. Well, Dupre is the big addition to Virginia this year, and she comes from just down the road from Virginia Tech. Coach said her superpower is that she swings hard all the time. And so it's a superpower, and sometimes it's a super weakness because she can be a little wild at times, but they need that arm of hers.
Here is Tatter again out of San Diego. To your point, averaging 2.7 kills per set. I don't care what number you're talking about. Corey Lewis down at Florida State, one of the top efficiency attackers in the country, averages those sorts of numbers, but that's unique. She's a big weapon out of the middle and key for the Cavaliers. Lily Gervais, a couple of service errors early on for SMU. SMU, you know, it was interesting at the beginning of the year. They lost to Hawaii, and then they beat Nebraska at home in 3, lost to Loyola Marymount, so kind of up and down, but not flying under anybody's radar any longer, and then come in and register other big wins. That didn't surprise anybody. Took out Nebraska, and then the Pitt Panthers in 5, as we talked about. Okamore, the transfer from Florida, on the floor hitting that slide. And nice rejection, really good play. Celia Cullen, very stout, athletic blocker in the setting position, able to get the score for SMU and Coach Erger.
Yeah, we get to take another look at that one. And as you said, it's Cullen right there alongside Nadie Okamore. Nadie Okamore, a transfer as well from Florida, and not only is she blocking as you would expect, but she has been a big piece of the offense as well. Both of these middle blockers, they run them in front and behind.
Very nice transition volleyball. Good block touch by Virginia. As you pointed out, it's not easy right now. First ball kill right now, and in transition for SMU is a bit of a challenge, but they've got more weapons, particularly on the outside, and win another long rally. That is Tabron again, number 31 in white.
No weakness at the pins for SMU. They've got Tabron on the left. Of course, we've already talked about the fact that they have Chimay on the right. And then they have more experience on the left with Jamison Willer, who's a little bit more of a manager on the left side, takes a lot of swings, extends rallies. They don't necessarily need her to be the hammer, but she is a great L2 with her ball control.
On the overpass, easily put to the floor that time by Nadie Okamore, wearing number 26, out of Carrollton, Texas, the transfer from Florida. Some good size up front, and Virginia behind it right now. Shannon Wells going to have to make some adjustments. Playing very clean so far on the road in Charlottesville. 10-3 run, no errors whatsoever except from the service line, trying to put on some pressure. They've got 5 kills on 12 swings, hitting .417, and right now dead 0 for the Cavaliers at home in Memorial Gym, Mem Gym as they call it in Charlottesville. 3 kills, 3 errors on 12 swings as Okamore was able to score the last point. Cullen back to the line. 9.8 assists, among the best in the ACC. Cammie Minor is top of that list right now for Stanford, and they were in a real battle at Florida State. AAC, I should say, setter of the year last season, this being the first for SMU in the ACC. Very important side out coming from the timeout. What do you see on the Virginia side? What can they do to get back in this opening set, Missy?
Well, I think this first ball kill right here answers the question. They can pass well, because when they pass well, they can establish the middle, and that is key for success, because player for player, SMU is a more physical team than Virginia, and they don't want to get into a battle of high balls out at the pin. They will be out physicaled. And so I think the more they can get their middle involved on a fast ball, it can open things up.
Dupre with the kill, and then coming right back SMU, still without a hitting error. Hitting error, volleyball nomenclature, you either hit a ball out of bounds, which is really bad, or you get stuffed for a point. Chimay with the kill. 3.5 kills as mentioned, having a wonderful season. averages almost a block per set. So for somebody out on the pin, that is a very, very impressive number. Good first contact again by Virginia, and they're trying to work their middles, as you talked about, Missy. Borum going off speed, as is Chimay, and finds a right in the middle of the campfire. Very tough at the 3-meter line. Good score.
I really like to see the way that Chimay is moving the ball around, switching up her shots. Coach talked a little bit about this team being in a midseason slump, and she said, hey, we're not alone in that. And Chimay was one of the players who she really challenged to raise their level here. She said, you know, this isn't No Shave November, this is Get Better November for our team. We're looking at small ways to do that.
Well, you made the most important point. I mean, this is a program in SMU, and particularly recently under Sam Erger. You know, they've been in the tournament a lot, but lose to Texas in the second round, and a lot of it is done geographically. But if they can host the first and second round, they have never, ever been beyond the second round.
They've got the team to do it.
They do. Pretty good first ball contact, playing and filling in. Kate Johnson in the libero jersey after the injury to Gomillion, who's been rock solid there in the libero position so far for Virginia. Virginia, the same weekend, probably the best they've had in a long time. They beat Florida State and Miami to really put themselves in the conversation of getting back into the tournament for the first time since 1999. Another long rally won by SMU, and they've got a very, very comfortable lead here in the opening set.
There's Kate Johnson in that libero jersey this weekend for Virginia. There was a collision there in the back court. Kate Johnson actually went to high school right down the road from where I sit right now, Paul. She is a Gainesville, Florida native, so I'm familiar with her. But yeah, a collision there in the back row moments ago.
Yeah, better to have two going for the ball than none, but sometimes that was a tough collision. And Kate Johnson, 2 digs per set, 26 aces, 28 errors. So number 8 in gray coming back out on the floor. It's certainly good to see that in this era of so many concussions around volleyball and multiple other sports. There is Milan Gomillion. You see the numbers she's putting up, and did not play on Friday night against the Pitt Panthers, and unavailable once again throughout the course of the weekend as Johnson will go back to serve. SMU very comfortably on top. Trying to put on some service pressure and do that ball off the receiver and out of bounds. So Kate Johnson recovers from that collision and dials up her 27th ace on the season.
And that's such an important piece of the libero role, not just to defend. Serve receive may be #1 skill. Defending, but serving the ball is just as important. You've got to be a threat from the service line if you're going to wear that libero jersey.
Ellie Bolton back to serve. 1.9 digs per set, 19 aces so far on the year, wearing the libero jersey. Johnson, no trouble with that. That was a very, very easy serve. Virginia gobbles that up, and SMU pays the price.
And sometimes you are so set on going after a particular passer that you lose something on the serve in order to place it where you want it. So early here, it looked as though SMU is really challenging Kate Johnson. She's new to that libero jersey, some pressure on her to replace the libero, and they're going after her early, but they're losing a little velocity on their serve as they try to place it. So we'll see what they do as the match goes on.
Oh, really good block. That is a talented block. Nia Chimay, 6-foot graduate student, yes, but she touches 10-10. That is really getting up there. It works offensively and working here in the blocking phase.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, her blocking numbers nearing those of a middle blocker. And she's just playing out there at the right pin, so a really solid block when she combines with Natalie Foster.
Yeah, as we travel around the country and do all these matches and look at all the stats, there's some middles that are only averaging about 0.8, 0.9. They'd love to have Chimay's blocking numbers, and middles always have higher blocking numbers than pin blockers because they, well, at least hopefully participate in a lot more blocking opportunities. There is Borum. out of Sterling, Illinois, the 6-foot senior, averaging 2.3 kills per set. See the heavily bandaged left thigh, did not play on Friday night against Pittsburgh, and very, very smartly off the edge and out of bounds. Good swing here in transition and score for SMU. Bourne will go to the sideline. Timeout has been called. SMU on top here, 18-10. And while we've got a break, want to remind you the fall seasons are rolling on, and we have 3 more ACC championships coming up for you right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Our women's soccer first round coverage gets underway tonight at 6 and 8 Eastern. The field hockey quarterfinals begin Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and the men's soccer first round starts Wednesday at 6 and 8. ACC network is the home of ACC championships. With former Florida star Missy Whittemore. She's at her home in Gainesville. I'm out in Southern California. Paul Sunderland here. A busy Sunday of volleyball. Stanford, Florida State. Boston College had a big win earlier today in Raleigh over North Carolina State. That was a good win for Boston College and not a good loss. That was a bad loss for North Carolina State. They're trying to cling on to some tournament hopes. Mentioned the matches that these two teams played on Friday. Virginia was falling to #1 Pitt 3-0, and some other national headlines. Look at this: Nebraska swept Wisconsin. That was on Friday. Been 11 years since the Huskers last won in Madison, and they did it, Missy, in dominating fashion, 3-0. Missouri, Texas loses their 3rd match at home, back-to-back 5-setters after they lost to A&M, and Stanford on the road. That is about as far as you can go from the Bay Area all the way to Miami. They lose dramatically in 5, 16-14 a deuce in the 5th. Your thoughts on those matches? Let's keep it in the ACC and then spill over a little bit with time allowing onto what happened in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I tell you, that Miami-Stanford match, Grace Lopez, 27 kills, just a special outing for the sophomore from Puerto Rico. And Stanford played well. When you look at the numbers in that match, it's not that Stanford didn't show up. Miami matched them. It was 16-14 in the 5th. So just a really fun one in the ACC to get things started on Friday night.
And Miami previously had one of those 3 matches on the road, or losses at home, if you will, for Texas. So you look at Virginia, they have a win over Miami. So Miami's win over Stanford, Miami's win already at Texas certainly helps their hopes to get into the NCAA tournament. Here is Natalie Foster, 6'4" graduate out of Mattawan, Michigan, another transfer from Wichita State. Heavily into the transfer portal is SMU and Sam Erger. That is their blueprint right now for success, and they have certainly had that. Tabron, again, Maya Tabron with a kill.
And Coach Erger told us, because we don't have the historical success, we're not getting the all-stars out of high school quite yet. We have some older players who are 20 who maybe want something a little different than they did when they were 16. They like the idea of coming to Dallas, but she understands that she has to do both to maintain success, that she has to be active in the portal in today's game, and yet she wants to recruit great players out of high school. And I think that's going to come here pretty quickly after the success that they've seen this season.
Yeah, the brand management of Coach Sam Erger is getting better and better. And she's, Dallas is one of the hotbeds for high school volleyball all over the country. So many teams are just proliferated with talent from the Dallas area. But she was getting too many no's. So she went into the portal and started getting a lot of yeses, and it's served her well. 26-7, 18-1 last year, and this year having another outstanding season. 21-12 is the advantage. Serve out of bounds once again. About the only errors so far. 4 service errors against a couple of aces for SMU.
Chimay out of the back row, looking for some fingers there. Doesn't look like she's going to get them, and that's going to send Zoe Dode back to the service line again, which is something worth noting, that this is a team who's played in a 5-2, where they've used Dode across the front row, and they've used Ashley Lee across the back row in a setting position. We saw them in a traditional 6-2 for a while on Friday night, and now today it looks as though Zoe Dode, who played in a 5-1 on Friday night in the 3rd set, they open up this match in a 5-1 with their freshman setter Zoe Dode. boards. So lots of options for them in terms of what system they want to run. I felt like on Friday night, trying to match the physicality of a Pitt team, that the 6-2 was a good idea. They were also without Brooklyn Bourne, so looking for ways to score points. But you see Shannon Wells, she's pulling out every trick out of the bag, just trying to be competitive in these big matches here in the ACC.
Yeah, good luck trying to match up physically with Babcock, Stafford, and all the rest. Bree Kelly, Rachel Fairbanks at #1 Pitt. Their only loss coming at the hands of SMU. Okamore out of the middle, dug very nicely by Johnson. A chance here for Virginia, and they'll take advantage. First error in the attack phase was moments ago. 13 kills on 27 swings for SMU. Very, very efficient at 429.
And that continues to be a positive theme for Virginia, is work the middle. When they can pass the ball well, they're very aggressive, as I've mentioned, in transition. It doesn't matter how far they come off the net. They're not afraid to run a little slower tempo and continue to work their middles.
Well, Celia Cullen does a really nice job taking some medium passes and creating very, very hittable situations. That ball missed out of bounds by Bourne.
Yes,
and SMU 2 points away.
And Celia Cullen is so fun to watch, Paul, because she is just absolutely not traditional in the way that she delivers the ball. She does it her way, but she gets it there, and she is consistent in her delivery and a nice tempo, great placement. She's really fun.
Another service error. That's 5. That's too many in this opening set. But the only part of the game that Maya Tabron and SMU have not been in control of. They let 11-5 early timeout taken by Shannon Wells of Virginia, and it's been all SMU since. Yeah, Coach Erger had so much praise for her outstanding setter. Beautiful block this time on the outside. Good work by #3 Abby Tatter, 6'2" senior we talked about from San Diego.
We've talked about the offense of Abby Tatter, but in key moments, she has come up big for Virginia with some blocks that have been momentum-type plays. She just plays with so much experience as a senior. She sees the game. She reads the ball so well.
Very nice job offensively. There is Cullen, and one of the things that Coach Erger said, never, ever loses a drill. Forget about the fact that she's a graduate student, been playing college volleyball now in her 5th year. Just never, ever. 3-on-3, warming up, doesn't matter. Soccer, doesn't matter. She has got to win every drill. Set point #1 for SMU.
I believe the direct quote on Cullen was, "She'll drag you across the finish line."
Willing or not. Now it's going to be 4 contacts called against the Cavaliers and #12, unless something catastrophic happens, and it won't. But they want to play at home those first 2 rounds. It is incredibly valuable. Dupre back to serve, starting things off for Virginia. Virginia again comes in at 17-5, 7-4 overall. Transfer from Virginia Tech, as you mentioned, just down the road, and putting up good numbers for Shannon Wells and the Cavaliers. Same goes for the Cavaliers. They're on the cusp of getting into the tournament for the first time since 1999. Virginia's only ever been to the NCAA tournament twice, so you're not talking about a program with any sort of history or history to it, if you will. But this would be a really good opportunity. Nice tip over the top of the block by Jamison Wheeler. Haven't called her name often. 6'1" graduate out of Austin, Texas.
And for Jamison Wheeler, I think one of the keys today was limiting errors, because they've talked about improving here in November, and from the left side, taking care of a lot of the junk stuff. She's been a little low efficiency over the last couple matches. Well, she's answered the call. She got 3 kills on 5 attempts without an error, hitting 600 right now. It's exactly what you're looking for from an L2 there. Just manage the game, the tip shots, the movement of the ball, doing a really nice job.
Bowie with a really good-looking swing, but missed it just out of bounds. The 6'2" sophomore out of Westerville, Ohio, hitting out on the right side. And we're maybe going to have a challenge. That was a quality swing, no question about it. 2 timeouts per set, also 2 challenges to start the match. Oh, it is a timeout. We do have a timeout called early, not a challenge. And SMU up early here in the second. and the ESPN app. On the women's side, number 6 Notre Dame will start things off at 5 Eastern when they take on Mercyhurst. Then we'll have a men's doubleheader. Cooper Flagg leads number 7 Duke against Maine, and we cap the night off with number 9, the North Carolina Tar Heels hosting Elon. The Nothing But Net crew will have all the highlights and analysis at 11 Eastern, and what a way to tip off the season, and what a way to tip it off. Tony Bennett resigns a couple of weeks right before the start of the season at Virginia, where he'd been since he'd been there for 15 years and a 2019 national champion. That made a lot of headlines, as has SMU and Virginia for that matter, on the volleyball court. But that was seismic news on the basketball front. Dug by Dupre. Got a change at the setting position, maybe going back to that 5-2. Missy Ashley Lee, 5'9" senior out of Plano, Texas, out on the floor now for the orange-clad Cavaliers.
Yeah, Virginia deep in experience, and, you know, some older players on this team who have played a lot of volleyball. You're up in this weekend against 2 ranked opponents, a lot on the line, and I like the fact that Coach Wells is leaning into her experience right here.
Nice pass by Borum. That was a really tough short serve. Becca White has come on the floor, 6'6" freshman out of Ohio.
Yeah, with White on the floor, I think we're going to see possibly even that 6-2 again, where they have 3 attackers in the front row at all times. Because a lot like Pitt, as we've mentioned, how do you match the physicality of these top 15 teams in the ACC? And one way to go about it is to try that 6-2, try to have big attackers across the net, big blockers across the net in all 6 rotations.
And shorthanded without your libero, and Brooklyn Borum didn't play on Friday. So maybe you're looking at this weekend and going, look, we're going to try the 6-2. We're going to take a look at it at 2 of the very best teams, not only in the conference but in the country, see how it plays out, and if it's a factor for us going forward. As you pointed out, 2 against Florida State, still against Louisville, Stanford, etc. You know, a lot of work to do for Virginia, some chances for some quality wins, and for SMU as well. That's a good swing off the left side. That missed by Wheeler, but did get a touch. A touch off the top of the block. High quality swing for number 15 and White. She thought she hit the ball out of bounds. Was a little surprised to see the touch call. And yeah, surprised as well as Shannon Wells. We're going to have a challenge for the first time. Start the match with 2 challenges. You can challenge. That is not a happy head coach right now. Thought that ball was out of bounds. Let's listen for the challenge.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the easier decisions to challenge, because you saw
play is under
the
review.
reaction from
Virginia
Jamison
is
Willis.
challenging that there was a touch. The original call is that Virginia is challenging no touch. The original call is there is a touch.
Well, there you heard it from the second referee. That's Michael Holder. And you can challenge touch off the block, net violation, ball in or out, 4 contacts, ball up or down on the pancake, foot fault on the 3-meter line, foot fault on the service line, and also back row attacker. And if you're correct on your challenge, then you basically have an infinite number. And if we play 5 sets, each team will get an additional challenge. This is the toughest one, micro touch or not off the top of the block.
This one is just, as you mentioned, the most difficult to see. Quite honestly, Abby Tatter's left hand may be a little late over the net there, and that may have saved her. She's coming in from the side with that left hand. The original reaction from Jamison Wheeler, she herself thought she hit the ball out of bounds. And I think often that tells you something. She was surprised at the call. We'll see, maybe. But usually the attacker is pretty aware.
It was a good swing, quality swing, just maybe ran out of a little real estate. What did she get bailed out? Here's another look. Watch the left hand of Abby Tatter in the middle. That is a well-formed block.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, for the call to be overruled, there was a touch called against the Virginia block. And for it to be overruled, it has to be absolutely certain, irrefutable proof that there was no touch. SMU won the opening set after leading 11-5, never looked back. Easy win 25-16 over Virginia.
The previous play will be overturned. There was no touch.
Good work by the officials and good work by the coaching staff, headed up by Shannon Wells in her 4th season at Virginia. So there was no touch. So Jamison Wheeler not happy anymore. She was surprised she got the touch call, and it will be point in possession back to Virginia, and they will retain both of their challenges.
The good news for Jamison Wheeler, we're already into set 2, and that is just her first error of the day. So she has been very efficient.
Kate Dean leading the way for Virginia, 4 kills on 10 swings. Abby Tatter, 2 of 6. Elena Dupre is 2 of 7 on the other side. Chimay and Tabron are 10 of 21. And Chimay, a couple of errors in there. 3 total hitting errors right now on the match. SMU is hitting .361. Working on Wheeler again, and is able to throw that ball off the edge of the block. Nicely done, working on Zoe Dode.
And so we do see Dode across the front row. So you were right, Paul, when you said perhaps back to that 5-2. It is more of that untraditional 5-2 where they're using 1 setter across the back row, 1 setter across the front row.
All of these different systems are totally unique to women's college volleyball, and explain why in a moment. Another good swing by Wheeler. Women's college volleyball allows for 15 substitutions, so it gives you all kinds of options. It's almost like football or basketball where it's unlimited, because you rarely run out of subs, so you can play all of these different systems. In the Olympic Games, you're allowed 6 substitutions. Men's college volleyball, you're only allowed 6 substitutions, so you almost always see a 5-1 system, because you just can't run players in and out. But we've talked a lot about the 5-1, 1 setter, 5 hitters, 6-2, 2 setters, always 3 hitters across the front. But what's unique, Missy, about the 5-2? We see it a little bit, but what's unique about that system?
The setter stays in the same placement in the rotation. However, when that setter gets to the front row, you choose to go with a different player. So, for instance, for Virginia, they're going with Dode. She's a bigger presence at the net at 6'2", so it gives them a little bit more of a block presence. Whereas Lee, the older setter, is only 5'9", and you're going to see big opponents take advantage of that in her 3 rotations across the front row. Something we haven't talked about, Paul, which further complicates or adds to the whole substitution dilemma, is the fact that this year you can use 2 liberos. And we're seeing 2 liberos in and out of the match. And of course, those are free exchanges that don't even count toward the substitutions that you're accounting for. And in SMU, we're seeing a team who's taking advantage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tried internationally a couple of years ago when they allowed for a couple of different liberos, 1 to pass, 1 to play defense, and it was used by Wisconsin early in the year. They have since gone away from that. Lola Schumacher is now playing exclusively at the libero position for number 7, Wisconsin. That ball missed out of bounds, so SMU's ball once again. Quick early timeout along the sideline for Shannon Wells. She and her staff were not happy with what was going on the side of the Cavaliers. Called a timeout at 3-0. We thought it was certainly going to be a challenge, but had something that she wanted to address right away with her team as they now trail SMU 9-4 in the second.
And I think that's very true to who Coach Wells is as a person, that they're not as concerned with the scoreboard as they are with, are they executing their game plan and playing the way they want to play. So it feels like a really quick timeout when you look at the scoreboard, but if there's something fundamentally happening on the court that goes against their game plan, I'm not surprised to see her call that early.
Dode again. Dug by Chimay, beautifully in the backcourt and answered by Borum. Good block touches here. Cullen got a piece of that. Borum in center field. Rally of the match so far. That was clearly a double, but it was on the same side that time of SMU, so legally played. Not the prettiest conclusion. The final chapter wasn't exactly a piece of art, but early on in that rally, there were a lot of really good quality touches by both teams as Abby Tatter goes back to serve.
And as you mentioned, I thought Brooklyn Borum and just her transition defense, and we go back to that identity of Virginia, stay in the long points, hang around with defense, and see if you can capitalize at the end.
SMU, as you might imagine, being an elite team, pretty good in reception and on the back row attack. Out of the pipe, that is Nia Chimay. Once again, we'll give you her numbers. That's now 7 kills on 14 swings, hitting over 300.
That back row attack down the middle from Chimay is an area of emphasis for SMU as they go into the second half of league play. Small areas where they can get better. They can give teams different looks that they didn't early in conference play. And incorporating more Chimay out of the backcourt will be a big part of that.
Excellent pass to Dode. One-on-one. Dupre is slowed. Really good block that time by Okamore, the Florida transfer, getting out on what was a perfect in-system play.
Okamore has consistently been a block threat for SMU. 8 times already. She has 5+ blocks in a match, and she had 12 in their win over Pitt. That's what it takes to beat Pitt.
Wow.
You have to have some elite individual performances in order to hang around with Pitt.
Against those attackers, that is a superb number. That ball down in front of Kate Johnson, and the service winner for SMU. That'll go down as an ace for number 11, Natalie Foster. 45 aces so far on the year. Very, very busy. She must be in one of their best scoring rotations because she has served. That's 45 aces to go along with 73 errors. She's spending a small lifetime at the service line.
Yeah. And didn't serve a season ago at Wichita State, but that was part of the sales pitch to her.
Right.
You know, in her growth to become a professional player, she will need to serve. And Sam Erger said to her, you come here, you're going to run gaps, you're going to run slides, you're going to be our M1, and you will serve.
Last year at Wichita State, first team all AAC, so SMU was very familiar being in the same conference, and hit .413 so far on the year as well. Timeout called by Virginia. They called one very, very early. SMU on top. Virginia has burned both of their timeouts. So SMU on the road, looking very, very comfortable as they were in Blacksburg the other night. Hit .319 to take out an improved Virginia Tech team 3-0. The fall season rolls on, and we've got 3 more ACC championships for you right here on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Our women's soccer first round coverage gets underway tonight at 6 and 8 Eastern. The field hockey quarterfinals begin Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and the men's soccer first round starts Wednesday at 6 and 8. ACC network is the home of ACC championships. In Charlottesville, on the grounds of the University of Virginia, it is traditionally known, and boy, Virginia and the Cavaliers have been doing a fantastic job building this volleyball program. Certainly still some work to do, but 4 wins over ranked opponents on the hardwood last year. All of these numbers and all of these accomplishments coming in the year of 2024. Softball, second ever trip to the NCAA regional, first since 2010. Swimming and diving on the women's side, 4 consecutive NCAA championships. Missy, what happened to the state of Florida? Florida's got to get back in there, but Virginia doing some great work in the pool and off the springboard and the platform, and then in volleyball, 17-5 start. I didn't mention that when we saw Shannon Wells for the first time. That is their best start since 2003, and 7 ACC wins, the most already so far in quite some time, since 2015. A real building, not a rebuilding job, a building, one brick at a time in Charlottesville on the volleyball court. Coming out of the timeout, and immediately a service ace. Good service pressure applied once again. Ace number 46 for Natalie Foster. As you pointed out, Missy did not serve a ball last year when she was playing for the Shockers at Wichita State.
And Virginia making adjustments here. I mean, they've moved to a 4-man serve receive. They're moving players around. That's Velasquez back there in serve receive, along with Kate Johnson, their libero. But Foster doing such a good job. He's going at the seams.
Beautiful play out of the middle. What a set that time by Zoe Dode. Into the middle to 6'3" junior Kate Dean.
And that's a great example of Dode's height at the net, how quickly that fast attack can take place, because you've got Kate Dean taking it right out of the hands of her setter. A fast tempo set there, and the block jumps with the setter because she is in the front row, and we've seen her be offensive.
Debron off the edge of the block and away that time from Borum. You talk to people about the Virginia volleyball program, and Zoe Dode out of Michigan. She is known, or they hope that she is the future of the program at the setting position. Top recruit coming in for the Cavaliers in quite some time.
That short serving run, if you want, not a run, short serve for Virginia has been the theme throughout the match. Paul, we have SMU siding out right now at 82% on the match. Incredible.
That is an amazing number. I mean, low 70s almost guarantees you a win. 80%, you could take that to Vegas. A couple of other changes as well. Candace Booth, the 6-foot junior out of Kernsville, North Carolina, coming on. So Shannon Wells not standing pat, pushing every button she possibly can to try to slow down this SMU squad. This would be a very solid road trip for the Mustangs. Largest lead here in the set. SMU, they've got the sub crew is very tight indeed. The choreography is superb, as was the choreography of that block. And the biggest lead continues to grow, going back to serve. Celia Cullen once again. I asked Sam Erger, we put together these lists, Missy, and you were a wonderful setter at Florida. Who are the top 5? Who are the top 6 setters? And she immediately said, I think Celia Cullen, yes, she's unique, but she's got to be considered one of the best in the business. And leading her team the way she has is certainly evidence of that. That ball missed out of bounds by Tabron.
And you saw an example of it there. She's unique in that she often sets with her back to the net, a side set over her shoulder, but she delivers it very consistently. It's hard to tell where she's going with the ball. Most people have to be a little bit more technically sound to get the consistent result of their set, but she sets that way very technically.
That ball hit out of bounds, ended an 8-1 run for SMU. Rare misconnection that time for the Mustangs. That ball looked like it was going off the edge of the block, but Becca White couldn't do enough with it, and the score continues to grow. Nia Chimay and the rest of the Mustangs having a very comfortable weekend so far. Tabron, 26 aces so far on the year. Transfer from Colorado. That middle connection, whether it's Lee or the setter Dode, that is nice work that time by Dean, hitting 365 on the year.
And so often those middles for Virginia are successful because they use them even when the pass isn't right in the middle of the court. Even as the setter is drifting along the net, the middle stays right there with them. And what a nice thumb down swing there by Dean to cut it inside the block.
Wheeler looking for hands and gets yet another touch. Very nicely done by Jamison Wheeler. When I was looking at SMU and watching quote-unquote videotape of them, showing my age, I wondered if they were physical enough to compete with the really elites. With Nebraska, yeah, they beat them. With Pitt, yeah, they beat them too. Or Wisconsin. And to me, they answer the question because they're such a good all-around team.
Mm-hmm.
Middle again, Tatter is dug. That ball hit out of bounds, and the lead continues to grow.
Paul, thinking of those elite matchups that SMU has had this year, when they lost to Louisville, their outsides were held to negative efficiency. It was the Louisville block that was a big difference in that match. And Coach said that Louisville block really exposed us for both of their outsides to be in the negative. That was something they had to correct. And boy, today, how about left sides hitting 500 and 400 for SMU? That's unheard of for both of your outsides to be above 400 over the course of a match. And you can tell it's a point of emphasis coming off of that Louisville match. They said when you play good teams like that, it's going to expose you, and you can learn a lot from a loss. And I think SMU moving forward is learning a lot from these elite teams they're competing against.
And Sam Erger is a little unique in the way she game plans, because you look at the outside hitters that she has slowed down. When you talk about Stafford and Babcock at Pittsburgh and the plethora of hitters at Nebraska, and she game plans. She goes, look, you forget about her over there on the right side. They don't set her. We'll go one-on-one there, but we're going to load up where we need to in order to put hands in front of offensive players as Haley Velasquez goes back to serve. Big lead for SMU. Very comfortable so far on the afternoon. Good cover by Chimay. And then Wheeler having a nice match. Jamison Wheeler will get you her numbers, as you pointed out, hitting over 500, and that continues to grow. Very, very solid. 8 of 13 with only 1 error.
Yeah, and you saw the beautiful just block coverage by Chimay. The way they're taking care of the small balls, I call them, those, you know, those small digs within a play to extend the rally. And Cullen shoots it across court. You know, she doesn't hang it there at the right pin again, but shoots it all the way out to the left pin, forcing that Virginia block to work.
Natalia Newsom, middle blocker, coming on now for SMU. So maybe going into the bench just a little bit is Sam Erger with this big, very comfortable lead. That's going to be a double contact because the ball went over the net. If the ball stays on your side, it is legal now to double contact the ball. 23-9. Very impressive performance. 6 kills this set alone for Jamison Wheeler.
And I think that's the next step for SMU. Can you not only win the matches you're supposed to win, but can you control those matches from start to finish? Because against Virginia Tech, there was some sets where Virginia Tech hung around until about 2020, and then SMU kind of had to put their foot on the gas, but that has not been the case today.
And really doing good work. You make a great point, because at Virginia Tech, the Hokies, you know, 25-23 in the opening set, and then it really took some step up and some concentration from SMU to knock out Virginia Tech. But the damage they've been doing from the service line right now, and also their side out numbers, are just absolutely astronomical. Wheeler slowed here. Good block touch by Tatter with Dode as well. Oh, that's a smart shot. Well done by Brooklyn Borum off the edge of the block. But another set point coming, and a big, comfortable lead for SMU. Borum did not play on Friday night. You can see why. Heavily bandaged left leg. This for the set. Killed out of the middle. Natalia Newsom, a middle blocker, 5'11", 5'11".
That early timeout, that sets the tone.
Well, it fooled us. I mean, you don't see it very often. You know, second set okay, but we thought it was a challenge, and that's a good hard swing, but missed just out of bounds by Borum as we're underway here in the third. Virginia at 17-5, 7-4 in conference. SMU 16-6, 8-3, currently ranked number 12, but as you saw, the committee's reveal had them at number 7. Here is Tabron back to serve. 26 aces on the year coming in, and serving was a huge story for SMU through the first couple of sets. Abby Tatter hitting out on the left side. Remind you, you talked about it, a middle blocker, but if she's your best attacker, go ahead and get her the ball anywhere along the pin.
There are a lot of middle blockers who are not comfortable on the long string set all the way to the pin. It makes them very uncomfortable, and I've just watched Tatter over the course of this year. She is so efficient in the side-out phase of the game. That's a great option for Virginia.
Velasquez has stayed on, playing some defensive specialist, came on late. Nice dig attempt that time by Johnson. That ball ripped down the line. Side-out numbers again. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever seen numbers this high. SMU is siding out at 85.2%. Siding out, that is unbelievable. That's a successful play. Not necessarily first ball, but a successful play when you're receiving serve. Bolton, the libero for SMU, back to serve. Velasquez right on target, as is the block right now for SMU. Tabron a little bit late to that dig, and it pays the price. A little bit out of system. Should have been an easier chance.
There's a good example of that freshman setter at 6'2", using her height across the front row. Gives Virginia a legitimate block there on the right side.
You know, this is just me saying this, Missy, but a really good setter. I mean, these players around the country, they play all the under-18s, under-19, under-21s. They know who Zoe Dode is. She could really help in the recruiting. If you're a really good hitter, middle, right side, left, you want to go play with a really good setter, and Dode has got a bright future coming her way, wearing number 10 for Virginia.
Absolutely. If you're a receiver, you want a quarterback who can throw that ball, right? Well, there's some young attackers out there who have to like the idea of spending some time playing with Zoe Dode at Virginia in the future.
Communicating very confidently with all of her attackers. Looking for hands. That ball missed out of bounds. You know, when we talk to Shannon Wells, and that's on the heels of talking to Sam Erger, who is deeply, deeply embedded in the transfer portal, it's a different scenario. It's a different formula at Virginia because it's one of the most elite academic schools in the country. It's just not the kind of place that takes a lot of transfers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Paul, because I thought it was so interesting. She said there could be 1,000 kids in the portal, and we may be able to talk to 10, just because of the fact academically they wouldn't be able to fit in here at Virginia. Such high academic standards at Virginia, and yet it's a certain type of kid. It's a high-quality kid that, you know, that Coach Wells really enjoys coaching, and so finding the right fit is important. But once you do, she feels like they can have so much success.
Diving save by Chimay. And I don't know about that shot choice by Dode, but she's just learning. Better shot choice again. Jamison Wheeler having an outstanding match, maybe her best so far relative to the season stats. 10 of 18 with 2 errors, hitting over 425 is number 15.
Wheeler very much answering the call after a couple matches a little below her standards to come out today with the 9 kills, hitting 412. This is a team that on any given night, it can be a different attacker who leads them in kills. And that is not the case for most teams across the nation. They have their go-to who's going to lead them every night. And you have to be prepared to defend from pin to pin when you go up against SMU.
Well, and if Jamison Wheeler, I mean, when you talk about offensively, when you talk about SMU, it's always Tabron and, of course, Chimay. But if Wheeler continue to be on this climb, and again, I made a note on my roster that she struggled against Louisville, so she'll have to continue this confident play and getting some good looks. Service winner there for Virginia. And Abby Tatter closing out her career, 6'2" senior out of San Diego. Hit 301 last year. This year, a little below that. Trying to get used to some rotation in the setting position out of the back row. The back row combination once again. Good work done by Chimay and the delivery by Cullen.
And again, that was an area of emphasis moving into the latter part of the season, and boy, has it paid off, because when you can send Foster quickly behind, you got someone out at the pin, there is some open net down the middle for Chimay, and she is really has a strong back row swing.
Plays good back row defense as well. That was off a block deflection, but pretty good ball control by Chimay once again. Wearing number 7 in the white jersey for SMU, again coming off a convincing, a little bit of a harder fought battle, certainly at Virginia Tech. They won it 3-0 after SMU held on to win the opening set 25-23, and then I want to say cruise control, because Virginia Tech played them pretty tough, but they were able to close that out in straights. And it was a different task, shorthanded Virginia. Pitt Panthers wasting no time. First couple of sets, 25-9, 25-9. Better block again, Cullen. Help out of the middle once again with 6'4" Natalie Foster.
That one looks like, as you mentioned, all Cullen as she reaches back into that seam, sees that Foster is not able to close in time, and so she goes to take away that cross-court shot. Gotta love it when the setter gets the big block.
Off the edge, out of serve receive, Kate Dean once again. We'll give you Dean's numbers. She's having a nice match, 7 out of 13 now with no errors for number 13, and she had a couple of really good hammers going in front of the setter, that time behind.
And I know after we talked to Coach Wells there that she's disappointed in the way that her team has competed today, but when they are looking for those bright spots, I do think their middles will be one of those when they go back and watch this film.
That ball served just out of bounds. The service story right now, all SMU. 7 aces to go along with 7 errors. A lot of those errors coming in the opening set since that time. And then 2 service aces for Virginia against now 6 errors. Foster has just got a weapon from the service line. And again, to reiterate the story, she came in with 44 aces. She now has 47 and didn't serve or play defense at all. By rule, internationally, the middles have to serve and play defense one rotation, okay? But in college volleyball, they don't have to. But that was one of the attractions for her to go to SMU and develop her all-around game and become a pro. She might be a serving specialist at the next level. We'll step aside. Once again, SMU looking every part. Foster has been putting so much pressure on Virginia's receivers.
Yeah, she has 4 aces already from the service line just today, and serving feels like it can come in streaks. You can just get hot. Against Louisville, Foster had trouble getting that serve going, but it can be a difference maker in a game, and particularly in some of the big matchups down the season. She puts so much pressure on that opposing pass.
Foster, this is nothing new. She has a season high of 5 aces earlier on in the season, sitting on 4 right now. 6'4", long arm, serving very, very flat with lots of movement. I want no part of this. And velocity. Pretty good pass. That was nicely done. Good reaction that time and a good kill out of the middle by Dean. Good response by the receivers of Virginia.
Yeah, anytime you can get her off the service line, those poor passers are breathing a sigh of relief.
(25-16, 25-10). Very comfortable set wins for SMU. And that ball drifts out of bounds. Didn't have much on it and drifted well long here at Memorial Gymnasium.
That's a good look at Cadence Booth, who's coming in across the back row there for Dupre. She actually played in 6 rotations for a good bit on Friday night in the absence of Brooklyn Borum. So we've seen 3 different players on the left side, a couple different right sides, lots of moving pieces for Virginia this weekend as they try to work through some injuries.
Borum is stopped. Okamore with some help on the outside from Nia Chimay.
And as we've mentioned, Borum with the leg heavily taped, didn't play on Friday night, and really has yet to look like herself here today.
Good example why Chimay is averaging close to 1 block per set. She really does a good job of taking away the line and pressing into the cross-court seam and working on Borum with that heavily bandaged leg, and more service pressure coming from SMU, irrespective of the position. This is Cullen back at the line. She came in with 18 aces.
And Paul, most coaches will tell you this is one of the big shifts in the women's game, is how important the serve has become. That you better have 6 servers if you want to compete against the top teams in the country. You better have 6 servers and not miss a beat. Everybody better be a threat back there to be able to score a string of points.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You can't have a serving rotation where your opponent is going to side out, kind of the way SMU is today. You just can't have it. When I was watching Nebraska at Wisconsin, that's exactly the feeling I got. I thought that Wisconsin was on their heels all night long. Nebraska held Wisconsin. That Wisconsin team, Anna Smrek, Sarah Franklin, to under 100 and attacking 094 was a remarkable, remarkable performance by Nebraska. Chimay again off the edge of the block, dug by Johnson. Remember, Milan Gomilian, the outstanding libero for Virginia, out for her 2nd straight match. And lovely transition, very quick and nicely done by Cullen.
And that's Newsom in the middle again here in set 3. We saw some of her in set 2. SMU used her on Friday night. Remember, a lot of older players playing for SMU, seniors, graduate players. They've got positions to fill next year, and I think Coach sees something she likes in Newsom, wants to get her some court time this year, get her some old experience to carry over.
Careful now, Missy. You're talking about old being 22. Be careful now. Chimay again, Newsom out of the middle. This is a really, really dangerous SMU team, as everybody has recognized, with the only losses put in the column against the Pitt Panthers, #1 in the nation, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. ranked at number 2. We got a timeout. SMU all over Virginia right now, 16-7. Time for college basketball. The season tips off tomorrow, and we've got you covered with a triple header right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 6 Notre Dame will start things off at 5 Eastern time, and then we'll have a men's doubleheader. Cooper Flagg leads number 7 Duke against Maine, where he grew up in Newport, Maine. We cap off the night with number 9 North Carolina hosting Elon, and the Nothing But Net crew will have all of the highlights and analysis at 11 Eastern. What a way to tip off the season. Nia Shimei, the transfer from Wyoming, incredible athlete, touches 10-10, and the leading scorer for this SMU squad all season long.
Well, Paul, I said coming in, they need Shimei in order to balance their attack. And guess what? She's got 10 kills, and so does Jamison Wheeler. It doesn't get any more balanced than that. Shimei from the right side, Jamison Wheeler from the left side. But Shimei, as a right-handed player on the right side, you rarely see her without the opportunity to swing down the line. And that's the result of 2 things. It's a good set coming from Celia Colin, and then it's the footwork of Nia Shimei in her approach. How hard she works to get off the net and how good she is in her approach to the ball. They set her in couple different zones along the net. Her footwork is really precise, and she puts herself in position to be able to swing crossbody, and she consistently swings down the line as well.
And you see from that graphic the improvement that she's made. It's her 2nd year in Dallas after transferring from Wyoming. 240 that last year, up to 282. That is a really, really impressive jump for an outside hitter who's taken a lot of tough swings in transition. Very nicely done by Shimei, who may have a very bright professional future coming her way. 3 professional leagues now in the United States, let alone all those all over the world.
And Coach Sam Erger, she said, I feel like one of the big positives of all the pro leagues is that it will help to create even more parity in college volleyball, as players are going to want to go somewhere where they can get on the court. She said these pro leagues aren't necessarily recruiting off the bench at Nebraska. You know, players want to get out on the court. They want to get in front of the eyes of these pro leagues, and I think that's a great point.
Natalie Purdue, 6-foot outside hitter from Dallas, Texas, on the floor now. Transfer from Arkansas. Told you we were going to say the word transfer a lot when it came to SMU. 17-7 is the advantage, and that ball drifts just out of bounds. All SMU. Look at their resume and go back through the season. Beat Nebraska and then lose to LMU at home. Beat Baylor. I've seen Baylor. Lost to Kentucky. And then that impressive win to sort of solidify things against Pittsburgh, but have lost to Louisville as well. So the ACC, 7 ranked teams to go along with the Big Ten for the most in all of college volleyball. Shimei, did she get a piece of the block? Did not. Thought that number 7 in white was going to get a touch call, but a rare hitting error.
I like the block set up there by Virginia, because they give her just a sliver of line and sort of bait her into swinging down the line, and it creates an error there.
Here is Velasquez. Virginia trying to creep their way back into this set. Good connection once again. Newsom has been impressive once again, a 5'11" middle blocker.
Yeah, she's taken 3 swings and she has 3 kills. Pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned.
Ajani Teeler. That's the name I was trying to come up with, Missy. Ajani Teeler, a 5'10" middle blocker, an All-American middle blocker, very versatile player from the University of Kentucky. That's a good role model for the young, undersized middle blocker.
Don't tell them they're undersized.
They know they are. They know they are. If you're under 6'3" now and a middle blocker in today's game, as you pointed out, getting a lot more physical and a lot more athletic all the time. Nice tap down. Well done out of the middle. That was Foster again, filling up the stat sheet already with 4 aces and several kills.
SMU now with 6 blocks on the match, Virginia 2, and those are stuff blocks. Those are the blocks that end the point, but we've seen so many block touches for SMU that have allowed them to play defense easily.
It's going to be interesting how Virginia reacts to this weekend. They're playing a couple of the top teams in the ACC and not able to measure up. Congratulations to them, obviously, so far for a very good start to their season at 7-4, best start since 2003. But what can they learn from this weekend? I'm not putting this one in the bag just yet, but SMU has been superb, and Virginia playing without their libero and with Borum digged up. This is a heck of an ask. Nice play that time by Doe.
And you talk about learning, Paul. I think we see it right in front of our eyes. We saw the freshman setter make a decision to go over on 2 earlier that wasn't a wise decision. It was an easy pickup from SMU. That time, a tighter pass to the net. She gets on top of that ball, gets it to the floor.
Virginia certainly has a path to get to the tournament for the first time since 1999. 3 sets to 2, they beat Boston College, they beat Syracuse, BC with a big win today prior to us at North Carolina State. So, quote unquote, the easy outs, the BCs, the Syracuses, the teams like that, not as easy as it used to be. Every league is top heavy.
That's right. And interesting, though, Virginia said their goal was to play in the postseason, and they know that they've already locked in a spot to the NIVC. And that's something that Boston College was able to make a huge run in that tournament last year. And I think Virginia would like to follow in their footsteps there. And so they said, hey, it's okay to be overjoyed, Coach Wells told us, and still want more. And that's what she wants from this team. We can be overjoyed about what we've accomplished, but I think what she was disappointed in there when we talked to her after that second set was she wants this team to be hungry for more, and she wants them to continue to compete.
Well, she had a great line, as you pointed out. Freedom, fun, and joy is all the result of playing disciplined volleyball. Do what the heck we tell you, and we'll have success. That ball served just out of bounds. SMU well on their way to recording their 17th win against 6 losses. 12 in the coaches poll, number 7 according to the committee. Tell you, I've been very impressed with Kate Dean. She's been a really good weapon. 8 of 14 so far in the match. For Virginia. That's something that they can build off of going forward. Add that to Tatter. Borum get healthy. Gamillion get healthy. I think Virginia's got to win 5 more matches to get into the tournament. Obviously, it depends who's it against. If they could steal one against a highly ranked opponent, that would go a long way. That's a really good swing.
Yeah, Virginia still has Stanford. They still have Louisville. So we talked about the extreme need for a quality win. They've got some matches out there waiting on them, but it's a tall order.
Natalia Newsom, who's come on and adding some punch on the outside. Another player listed as a middle blocker, hitting off the left side. Good block touch. Chance here. Newsom again. Choice off speed, dug by Chimay. Chimay, easy read, and then Foster again. Nicely done. Natalie Foster, every phase of the game has been so impressive.
And I've really enjoyed the fact that SMU uses both of their middles, whether it be Nady Okamore or Foster. They both go off 1 foot behind. So they hit a complete arsenal of attacks, both middle blockers, you know, and even the one playing in the M2 that has a right side attacker in the rotation where they're up there with the setter. They're not afraid to go to that.
And kudos to Cullen doing good work. Sometimes you get into a pattern and you know this is a setter. You connect with this hitter in front. I connect with that hitter behind. But that's good versatility by Celia Cullen last year, the AAC setter of the year. Lots of A's and lots of C's.
Yeah.
ACC, AAC.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
We'll keep
for
it
sure.
straight. We'll keep it straight. Perfect pass and side out again. The side out numbers. With that kill, it's almost 84% inside out right now for SMU. Gentry Lamarand coming in as a substitute for Sam Erger, and SMU now 1 point away from back-to-back sweeps in Virginia. Good work by Borum. That ball set outside the antenna, a little tight. Another swing for the win. Dig by Dode, but Borum running out of room. The referees stand getting in the way, and a very, very solid, very professional approach to the match.